2 of their neighbors were held hostage at another trailer in the park.
There are a total of 5 victims. Among the 3 shootings, 4 of them have died.
Where 23-year-old Laura Green was found murdered this morning near Euclid and Hook.
And when it gets to be on your doorstep, you know, it's sad out here how we're losing our young children.
In Mildred, the shooting just a few feet away from a school.
The streets of St. Louis are now experiencing a level of violence that hasn't been seen for a long time.
Most people don't talk and tell them. They'll look at it and keep going, you know.
There's a lot of guns out on the street. There's a lot of shootings and violence that's happening where police are not getting the cooperation from people who have answers and who know are perpetrating these offenses, in many cases against the innocent victims in the city of St. Louis.
People need to come together as communities. They need to watch, you know, just this terror, crime, either. Watch their surroundings, keep an eye on things, and if you suspect it, don't be scared to call.
I'd hate to see that every time you turn on the news, this is what you see, a body. We can't keep living like this. We can't.
It does hit home, and I do have a right to speak out. But I'm speaking out in a way to plead to young people, please put the guns down.
We know 5 people were shot, 4 of them have died.
Using a stolen gun.
And then another deadly shooting in the 2700 block of...
I'm speaking up right now to whoever is listening to me. Please, please drop these guns out here. We're killing innocent children, innocent babies, and it's just enough. It's enough right now.
The city of St. Louis is averaging 5,000 violent crimes a year. In 2015, as of this airing, almost 160 people have been shot and killed, including 3 children and 26 women. For far too many families, the streets of St. Louis and surrounding communities are not safe.
The violent and sudden loss of Jamila Bolden, the young girl shot after a gunman fired into her home, killing her as she finished homework.
And you know, she wasn't conscious, and I was just kind of shaking her and saying, Mila, Mila, and I couldn't see where she was shot at, so I didn't know if she had been hit. I just kind of seen the blood on her nose, and I just started panicking and yelling for my mom. I was like, call 911, because I think me and Mila had been shot. Just call 911, and it was just kind of chaos from there.
Army veteran Chris Santa was left paralyzed when he and his girlfriend were robbed on the corner of Market and Walnut. Santa was shot in the back and may never walk again.
Went through the liver, the spine, and the lungs. After she gave him her purse is when he pulled the gun, and that's when they turned and ran, and he shot. He shot at them twice. Now I'm scared. He was just walking to his car.
We got a knock at the door. It was about 12 that my daughter was shot in the chest. And we got up and we left. If you can see, that bullet all went through her. And it was a blessing that my grandson didn't get hit. He's 5. What I'm gonna tell him now? He said, my mommy was shot and she went to sleep, Nana, and she didn't wake up. I gotta explain to her 5-year-old son why his mother is not coming back here.
Now is the time to be fed up.
Now is the time to expect more.
Now is the time to change those statistics.
Now's the time to end violence, STL.
I'm Steve Savard.
And I'm Andre Hepkins.
We can't sit idly by as the numbers grow higher and higher and our city grows more violent.
Which is why KMOV has partnered with organizations such as Better Family Life, Mayor Francis Slay's office, St. Louis City and County Police, and many others to end violence, STL.
We're asking you, our viewers, to join us in this effort. If violence and poverty were a cancer, we'd band together to find a cure. And that's exactly what we're doing now, banding together to end violence in St. Louis.
And if you're sitting there thinking that violence in our city doesn't affect you, think again.
This is everyone's problem.
One community's
problem is every community's problem. This situation that we're facing right now can impact any family at any time.
They said Jamila been shot, and I got real hysterical. You try to be the protector, but this particular time I wasn't there.
He's just such a good person. It's just not right. It's just not fair. All I could think when it happened was I feel for all those mothers that have lost their sons and daughters, and I can't imagine. I know that feeling now because I thought I lost him.
You know, right now we're in this take mode of living, and which we shouldn't be.
Right.
You know, everyone wants to take. You know, and these young guys figure that no one wants to give. Right. No one wants to give.
We share a common problem, and that is that we're in crisis right now.
If we don't get it together, this is what's gonna happen all the time. It's unsafe.
I want my daughter back. She didn't deserve this. The person that knows what happened knows information, but they don't want to give it.
Everyone has a role to play, Steve. The hour of people thinking that they don't have a role to play is over. Everyone has to look at this situation, look at this crisis, and say, I must lend my help.
This has to stop. It's absolute madness.
I want to see something better. I know it's something better other than what we're doing.
Please put the guns down. Please put the guns down. It's just not worth it.
So we have got to understand that no one can insulate themselves from this. This is an issue that we must meet head on.
We must stop killing. We need a change.
Yeah.
It's time for a change.
Joining me is a familiar face, James Clark from Better Family Life. James, good to see you as always.
Good to see you, Steve.
Thank you for coming in. We've been talking about these issues for a long, long time. The station with you and you and I talking about them. You've told us on more than one occasion that we're faced with resource deserts. Can you talk about the root of the problem that leads to the violence that we see in the streets of St. Louis?
Well, Steve, we have a crisis right now where we have families and we have neighborhoods that suffer from lack of basic resources. We have seen too much disinvestment in the urban core. And when you look at the St. Louis metropolitan area, we're not like Chicago, we're not like Los Angeles, we're not like New York, where you have very large areas that are suffering from economic and social despair. St. Louis, we have very small pockets. If you look at the landscape, we can identify neighborhoods that have very stable areas. Then you can go 3 or 4 blocks over and you have crime and violence and other social ills. We've got to begin to get surgical. We cannot deal with this issue painting with a broad stroke. And we've got to be active in our neighborhoods at this hour.
And you are active, and you are actively taking the message to those neighborhoods saying that there are resources. You may not be aware. We're making you aware. There are resources that will lead you to a better life.
Yes, Steve, we have got to reach the families. When you look at the data, 80% of our homes are single parent homes. Those single parents are suffering to make ends meet day to day. And we now know that there's a relationship between parental neglect and juvenile delinquency. So we've got to be able to reach people where they are, literally going onto the porch and into the living room, do family assessments and deliver the resources. There are excellent resource providers throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area. Many of them are housed under the United Ways umbrella. We've got to begin to bring the resource providers closer to our families in our more challenged neighborhoods.
Are you seeing the message that you're bringing get home in some cases?
Yes, Steve, we are seeing neighborhoods turn around, but this is not going to be a quick fix. We must commit now in order to stem what we see going on. Right now, the cure is not present. We are not active. We are not where we should be, but we do see success. We see the urban leagues, Save Our Son program. We see the new pool Pit to Porches program, where we're working with churches to do outreach in the neighborhood in which their church is located. The church at this hour has a very pivotal role to play. We believe that in order to turn our neighborhoods around and have stability long term, we must have the church as the centerpiece.
You also need resources to help take resources to the community. You have told us repeatedly, over and over, this is everyone's problem, and we're being naive to think it's not.
Steve, we have got to involve two factions right now. One, the corporate community. City government does not have the resources to fund what is necessary. We've got to have civic involvement, we've got to have corporate involvement. Then we've got to involve the individuals who know the neighborhoods best. I say, to catch the wolf, you've got to send a wolf. We've got to let the men and women who may have a criminal background, who may have done some time in jail, they are the ones who we've got to empower, give them a certain amount of skills, train them up, and then let them go out and serve as outreach workers. Steve, I am convinced that if we can train during this cold season 50 outreach workers and 25 case managers, we will be able to deal with the summer of 2016 much better than we dealt with the summer of 2015.
So you can change the course we're on.
We can change the course of St. Louis in a very short period of time. It is going to take parent involvement. It is going to take neighborhood involvement, and it's going to take very aggressive outreach.
James, good to see you as always.
Always a pleasure,
Thank you
Steve.
so much.
Always a pleasure.
Hundreds gathered to celebrate the groundbreaking for the new Urban League Empowerment Center on West Florissant. The Urban League's national president made it very clear the center's main goal is employment for young black men.
Let me hear you say it. Say jobs. Jobs. Say jobs rebuild Ferguson. Jobs rebuild Ferguson.
Scores of people showed up to this peace rally, many of them marching throughout the neighborhood. They say their goal is to show the community that they're all about peace and putting an end to the violence.
I think it's a good beginning.
That's because this is more than just a march. It's an opportunity for those who came out to learn about developing youth leadership, as well as updating families who have lost a loved one to homicide in the city of St. Louis about the status of the investigation.
I'm hoping that this is the turning point in our community where we can really reach out to one another and love each other a lot more.
It's all about the family, and God is love. So if we remember, love is the answer, then hopefully we can stop some of this.
Balloons in 9-year-old Jamila Bolden's favorite color were released into the air to celebrate and mourn this young girl's life.
Here's to our Jamila.
The death of this little girl has hit this community hard. The Ferguson police officer who tried to save her life overcome with emotion.
Just tried. I did everything I could. I wish I'd have saved her. I wish I'd have saved her.
You did all you could do. You did what you could do.
It's this raw emotion that demonstrates what this little girl meant to so many in her short life. A young girl that brought together family, police, community members, and activists to call for an end to this violence.
We must put an end to the criminality that's victimizing and traumatizing our community.
Workers like Ryan, Joe, and Shabazz go door to door, talking to people on the street.
I'm with Better Family Life, and what we're doing, we out here delivering resources to the community.
Letting them know help is available and where and how to get it. And it appears to be working. In less than an hour, we saw 3 or 4 cars stop, people asking how to get help and how they can help.
It's reassuring when we have people pull over and stop and they notice us, they see what we're doing, and they say, well, we want to be a part of it. How can we be a part of it?
20-year-old William Ruffin works for Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. His fairly new job changing tires at the Olivet location, among other tasks, has changed the tides of his life.
I can afford stuff now. I mean, I've been doing a lot of stuff for my family, for my mom and everything like that.
it's been awesome.
The Rittner High School graduate grew up in St. Louis City and now lives in St. Anne. Just months ago, it seemed as if the concept of working for a living wasn't going to work out.
I thought I would never be here, standing here talking to you. To be standing in this is just mind-blowing.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Mentors molded Williams' mind here at the Urban League Save Our Sons program.
Save Our Sons changed my life. They did a lot for my life, and they changed me as a person, as a man.
Can't be shooting in the house and killing them on the street.
Get out there and do something, and don't be afraid.
We still need answers. We still don't know. We know somebody knows who killed her. She was 9 years old.
I still want people to know that it's time to stand up for our children. I mean, if you ain't standing up for the kids, who you standing up for?
Let's make a change. It's bigger than just a sign and a billboard. We have to feel it in our heart. We have to really want to make change.
Hello, this is Chris Anna. I want to thank the St. Louis community, St. Louis, the police department, my friends, my family. I definitely want to thank the veterans. I feel proud to be a veteran. I can't believe how much they've pulled through for me. Once we get done with this, I get out of the hospital, we're going to make St. Louis safer again. Thank you.
It's real, and St. Louis has got to accept the fact that we're at a very, very pivotal point right now. And we have got to begin to find internal solutions, neighborhood-based solutions, and bring the resources in to help people improve the quality of their lives. Now is the time. Now is the time to understand poverty and what it does to our community. Now is the time to understand that every child deserves a quality education. Now is the time to understand that the opportunity to get a job can change a person's future. Now is the time to understand that the tragedy of a broken home means the child needs support from us all. Now is the time to understand that this is everyone's problem. End violence in St. Louis.
We can make a difference, you can make a difference, and together we can imagine a better St. Louis. Joining me right now is Mayor Francis Slay. Mayor, what can the people watching right now do to join this effort to help end violence in our city?
Well, I think the most important thing people can do is to be engaged in every respect in their communities, and on their block, in their neighborhood. Know who your neighbors are. Make sure you work and find out who your alderman is, who your neighborhood stabilization officer is in the city of St. Louis. Report issues that you might see. If you see something that looks suspicious, make sure you say something to somebody. If it looks like it's something that's illegal, you can call the police, and you can do it anonymously. Be engaged in your neighborhood. Join the neighborhood organization. If there isn't one, see if there's a way you might be able to organize one. Be engaged in the school that your children go to. Also, try to find ways to help improve opportunities for others.
Mayor, let's talk more about being engaged. Part of being engaged is being proactive. What other specific things can the public do to be proactive in this effort to end violence?
What you need to do is keep your eyes open. And if you see something suspicious, you need to make sure somebody of authority knows about it. Be engaged in the church or the school. I mean, volunteer. Sure. The more people you know, the more you know about your block, the more organizations that you interact with, the better off you can be in helping make St. Louis a better place.
Speaking of making St. Louis a better place, we talk about imagining a better St. Louis. What can we do to do that, and how does that help all of us?
Well, we have, what I would tell, we have a lot of great things we can be very proud of in the city of St. Louis. This is a great city.
Absolutely.
We have Forest Park. We have great entertainment and cultural attractions. We have outstanding institutions, schools, hospitals, neighborhood parks, neighborhoods, beautiful architecture. So we have a lot of things that we're known for. We're known for our biotechnology, life sciences, our manufacturing, the arts. There's a lot of things about St. Louis that is great. To make it even better, again, it's important that we try to view ourselves as a region. I mean, in my view, I think it's really important that we take more of a regional approach to everything we do. We have a regional workforce, we have a regional economy, a regional image for that matter. I mean, what happens on one block impacts another block. What happens in one part of our region impacts the entire St. Louis region.
Unfortunately, we've had a lot of incidents recently that we've covered that have caused people to be afraid of the city of St. Louis. What can you as the mayor say to allay the fears of those people who live in our region who are afraid of the city?
50% of the crime and 50% of the violent crime is committed within 5% of the city's geography. So you got to keep that in mind. So the vast majority of people who come into the city, by far, have a great experience. When they come in, they enjoy it, they're having fun, they're safe, and we are, continually working to make it even safer. I've given the chief unlimited authority over overtime, so we have the police where we need them, particularly in the areas where you have, a lot of people coming and working and going to school and being entertained. St. Louis has a lot to offer, and it is a safe place. But when you come in the city and you go anywhere, you have to be smart and you have to be aware of your surroundings, particularly if you're out late at night somewhere. Another thing I think that's really important is that when we look at crime, we got to make sure we're very, very serious about it. Not just, the police doing their job, because they're doing their job, but when somebody goes into the system, we need to make sure there's real consequences for violence in the city of St. Louis, and we're not seeing enough of that. A gun docket is something I'm very interested in having happen in the city of St. Louis.
This crisis that we're dealing with crime in St. Louis, it's something that's being talked about across the state and across the country.
Yes, it has. Cities all across America are having the same experiences with violent crime upticks. There's something going on. We've got the attention of the White House, the U.S. Attorney General, the FBI. We are partnering with federal authorities as well to deal with these things. But in terms of keep in mind, we've overcome a lot of obstacles in the past in the city of St. Louis. You have to have a holistic approach, and everybody's got to be engaged. It's got to be citizenry, politicians. You got to have the police department, of course, the courts, working with federal authorities, businesses as well come to the table, and they are coming to the table working with us on some things as well. So, this is something that's not somebody else's, just somebody else's responsibility. This is our city, it's our responsibility, and we all need to work together to make St. Louis even safer.
Well, thank you, Mayor. The Mayor, Kim O.V., and the organizers behind EndViolenceSTL have set up a website for you to get more information and resources, EndViolenceSTL.org. There you can find out how you can join this effort to end violence in the city and make this a better St. Louis.
I have a lot of confidence in the citizens of the St. Louis metropolitan area. We are a caring people. We are a spiritual people. And so I know that through this kind of partnership, St. Louis will see a light and will see a ray of hope, and we will be able to deal with these issues of the lack of resources into our neighborhood that has led to the decay and the decline of the human capital, and we will be able to turn it around.
Yes, I have a vision that my community will be beautiful once again.
What's your plan?
We must stop killing. We need a change.
Yeah.
One of the things I hope to do is really work toward restoring trust between the community and law enforcement. They have to trust you. They have to know who you are and what's in your heart and what your goal is. We can't make any lasting change in gun violence until the community works with us, gets involved.
Trying to find ways that we can make possession of guns a little more difficult in St. Louis and keep them out of the hands of criminals to the extent we can under state law.
And we want to ensure that everyone has equal access to quality law enforcement, no matter what your zip code is. Just yesterday, we rolled out legislation that would do just that.
Every day, we help make our city stronger by bringing jobs to our community and empowering people through job training and education. We must come together and support each other to make our great city even greater.
This is a very serious problem, but the right people have assembled to end the violence in the city. And when I say the right people have assembled, I don't just mean civic leaders, business community, and clergy. I mean each and every one of you watching this show.
Thank you for joining us in our efforts to do whatever it takes to help end violence. Together, we can make a better life for all St. Louisans, and we can be an example not only for St. Louis, but for our entire country.
EndViolenceSTL is an awesome initiative that is pulling together so many different groups throughout the region to help make this a better place.
So this is a way for us to partner with more people in the community to really address the root causes, to really get at the problem. And if we can't solve it as a community, there is no solution, but I'm sure we can solve it as a community.
The EndViolenceSTL initiative allows people to have a voice and to see the positive things that are going on in the community so that people know that the city and the region is not just the crisis that's currently going on, but there's much more to the city.
You look at the history of St. Louis and the challenges it has overcome for 250 years. These are not challenges that cannot be overcome. We've overcome great challenges in the past. I have absolutely no doubt we will do so again.
We have a great community here. The citizens of the city of St. Louis are resilient, they are powerful. We have a great community here, we have great businesses, we have great educational institutions, and we have a great medical community. And if we all unite together and put our resources together, we're gonna solve this gun violence problem. We're gonna become a city that other cities are envious of.
We also have a great spirit in St. Louis of coming together and being able to work together to solve our problems if we put our minds to it.
And I think a lot of times it's easy to talk about what's wrong with St. Louis and what's wrong with the region and different things about that. But you know what? I think we need to talk about what's right, because I think we are making great strides in the partnerships between law enforcement and the community, really to make this a better place.
We can make the difference in this community. We do not have to wait for external forces to come into our community and do positive things. We, the people who live in this city, who live in this community, who's impacted every day by some of the dysfunctions that they see, that we can be the change agents.
I think a better St. Louis looks like a place where we are moving forward and we are moving upward, and we are doing that together.
Work together. If we come together as a community, we can achieve anything we want to do.
A better St. Louis looks like a future where everybody has an equal opportunity in order to support themselves and family.
A new and better St. Louis will be one where everyone can feel safe, where we do not have daily events of violence, and where everyone has a feeling of optimism and opportunity. This community has tackled major issues in the past, major problems in the past. St. Louis is a community on the frontier. We've always been the frontier of America. Well, guess what? We are dealing with American challenges right now.
A better St. Louis looks like people getting along, looks like people talking.
We are at a place in our history where we are going to make the history of St. Louis.
I think that's the other thing that encourages me and gives me hope, is that St. Louis continues to show up.